What is going on, Diesel Nation? We're excited to have you guys with us today. We're pretty pumped up to be able to chat with Charlie Keeter from Keeter's Diesel Performance. He's got a 6-liter Powerstroke, and he won Diesel Power Challenge in 2016 and 17. And he's going to be talking to us about the truck, the turbo setup, transmission, his journey with it from a daily driver to one of the most competitive 6-liter Powerstrokes out there. And we're also going to talk about what is a good power level to modify a 6-liter to, where you can keep the towing capability, you can have fun with it, but it's not getting so involved with, engine work and chassis work and tons of different things to be able to, go out there and race. I know most of the listeners out there, you guys have wanted to know, what's a good power level for me? What do I need to do to get there? And just to have a nice, reliable daily driver work truck. So we're going to ask him about that. Before we get to it, though, we want to thank two of our sponsors. First is PPEI. And even though this is going to be an episode about Ford Powerstrokes, we know we got a lot of Duramax listeners out there. And PPEI is now taking pre-orders for custom L5P tuning. So you need to go to ppei.com. You can find it on their site. And if you're looking for any kind of tuning for that platform, those guys have been hard at work making, it's actually shocking power that they've been able to get out of that engine that's basically all stock. And all they're doing is custom tuning with it. So if you want to get on that list, get it going, head on over to ppei.com. Also, we want to thank Diesel World Magazine, and they gave us a shout out in this current issue. And this is something we're very honored to have, and we're excited to be able to be in the magazine. It's one that we've been reading for years. They've got a lot of good write-ups in this issue with Rudy's Diesel, their drag truck, and tons of different things. And so we're honored, we're humbled. We thank you guys for giving us a shout out in there. And for the listeners out there, make sure you go to dieselworldmag.com. You can stay up to date on the latest in diesel information, product news, races. SEMA's coming up, so I'm sure they're going to have tons of great coverage of SEMA. So we want to thank those guys. Also, we want to encourage you to keep leaving us reviews on iTunes. We've been getting a lot of them lately, and if you guys in the comments just tell us what you want to hear about, or a guest you want to hear from, or something you'd like us to follow up with, we check those every single day. So make sure on iTunes, give us a review, let us know your feedback, and we'll make sure to get the content that you want onto this podcast. All right, guys, let's get to the 6-liter talk.
This is Corey Willis with PPEI, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
I'm Adam Blattenberg from Diesel World.
Hi, I'm Clint Cannon from ATS.
This is Dan, owner of Dan's Diesel Performance.
I'm Dimitri from No Zone Diesel.
I'm Cass from Diesel Doctor of Tennessee, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
Charlie, it's awesome to have you on the podcast. I think you're the first 2-time DPC champion that we've had on, and we've had a lot of people ask to get you on the podcast and talk 6-liters with you.
All right, man. How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. You're one of our most requested guests. We probably get a message or comment a week to get Charlie Keeter on to talk about his DPC winning 6-liter Powerstroke. And we're gonna have a lot of listeners out there that are happy to hear from you.
Yeah, it ain't nothing special about it. Just a 6-liter.
For our listeners out there that may not be familiar with your truck or what you've done with it, can you take us through the truck itself, like where it started, and then how you built it to the power level and the performance level that you did?
Well, it started out as a family ride, daily driver family ride, and started out with the VGT Chargers, and just trying different ones and different turbo setups, and finally got to a point where it wasn't going any faster, so we switched over to a small frame non-VGT Charger and bumped the injectors up. We were running 8 miles in and went low 7s and ended up bending a rod, spraying a lot of nitrous on the truck, and so we put a set of rods in it and a cam and a bunch of other little odd and end stuff, and went out there and got the full potential out of that setup. It went low 11s. I don't know, it was probably 4 years ago now. And then we bumped up the injectors again, and a bigger charger, a bigger Singer charger, and still spraying it pretty hard. And ended up burning some valves and stuff from all the nitrous. And I decided to switch over to the triple, build my own triple turbo setup for it. And that actually worked out way better than I expected it to, because I was just kind of shooting in the dark on the triple setup. I knew some people had ran them on different trucks, back in the day, a lot smaller turbos, and just kind of took a shot in the dark, and luckily it worked out pretty well on my truck, and it's been fun. It's a lot of work, keeping up on maintenance and all that with them. Just trying to apply that power, use all the power that the poor little 6-liter can make, and use it reliably is a tough job.
What did the triples allow you to do that, say, a larger single and a lot of nitrous didn't?
Well, the drivability part of it is a lot better. It spooled a lot better. Instead of making 55 pounds of boost regulated, I can make 90 pounds of boost regulated, and burn up a lot more of the fuel with boost instead of nitrous.
Oh, gotcha. So was it tough to fit them in the engine bay?
Oh man, I bet you I probably got 50 or 60 hours just in labor building the mounts and the piping and all that stuff. You look at it sitting in the truck, you're like, man, it looks pretty simple, but actually getting in there and cutting all the the piping and fitting everything, it was a lot more than I expected it to be, and it took longer than I wanted it to, but it's been a damn good setup ever since.
What size turbos are they?
Well, it originally started out with a 468 in the valley and two 369s out front, and now it's a 472 with the same 369s out front.
Moving a lot of air.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it makes maybe 1,100 horsepower on fuel. And I feel like if you put that same setup on a Cummins, it'll probably make 1,400 or 1,500 horsepower with that amount of air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And how's the 5R110? Are you running a 5R110W in it still, or did you do a 4R100?
No, we swapped over to a 4R a while back just because we couldn't get any consistency out of the 5R, the way it shifts. It's just a bastard-ass transmission pretty much.
I bet with the custom tuning that you can do on the 4R100, you probably really capitalize, though, on your air-fuel setup and racing at the track and everything. Yeah,
I control the 4R with a PCS controller, a TCM 2000. And having that tunability, you can change the tune on the transmission riding down the road. Just being able to go in and tweak little stuff on your own when you want it to lock up, wide open throttle shifts, part throttle shifts, you can really get the best drivability, and performance out of it at the racetrack, having trans tuning, at the tip of your fingers.
Do you think to take a Powerstroke and have it go fast, like your truck's going fast, or some other ones out there that are making a lot of power and doing well at the track, that you have to swap over to a 4R100 to do it? Or do you think if you stay with a 5R, you're just always going to struggle or fight that particular part of it and just not get the most out of the setup?
Nah, I feel like you're leaving some potential on the table with a 5R for sure. I mean, others will argue that point, but there's no one, I don't know who you're particularly talking about, but I know the faster 6-liters and the faster 6.4s, the faster 7.3s. One's got a Dodge transmission in it, and the rest of them have 4Rs or like a turbo 400 style transmission in them. Nobody really fast is running a 5R. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's we've had some guests, or not some guests, but comments on guest episodes for guys that are really into the Powerstroke platform, and it seems like that's something that they've been wondering is, yeah, the 5R, I mean, it holds up well for a little bit of power in daily driving and things like that, but if you really want to go fast and you start to get into, say, like a triple setup like you've got, or any number of different air fuel setups you can do, is the custom tuning with the 4R100. Just, there's so much you can get out of it. I think, definitely racing, but also if you daily drive the truck and making it more drivable. And the listeners we had comment wanted to know, do I need to do that 4R100 to really be competitive, or what does it give me besides, I'm not going to have like a fifth gear, but I can custom tune the shift points and lockup and all the different things that it allows you to do.
Yeah, I mean, the 5R to me is good to a point. We could never get it to shift consistent, and you can go to the racetrack and listen to a 6-liter or 6.4 go down the track and listen to that 5R shift. And to me, after doing what I've done in my truck with the 4R, you can just tell you're like, damn, that thing sounds like shit when it shifts. It just doesn't shift the same.
Yeah.
It's not consistent. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I got to a point where I was just ready for consistent shifts and wanted to be faster, I could say.
I wanted to ask you about Diesel Power Challenge and winning it twice. I remember following it back. I think I missed the first one, but I think maybe the second or third one way back when is when I started to get into Diesel Performance and get the magazine and read about it and everything. And I remember back then it was Cummins and Duramax. And the Ford guys, where they'd bring 6.4s, 6.0s, whatever it was, were always trying to win it. And you were able to do it twice back to back. What was that like? Bringing your truck to Colorado to the event, doing the different challenges that they have, with your setup. What'd you learn from it?
It was a good time. My main thing was going out there, for me anyway. It was I had the truck together for a while. I knew the truck. I drove the truck. Just knowing your truck and, knowing the capabilities of it, or, the feel of your truck was a big thing for me. But when you go out there, and we're at sea level over here on the East Coast, and you go over there, and it's, 5,500 foot elevation in Vandermeer, it's a whole different ball game. The Chargers, the turbos and stuff over here, it's spooled up really, really quick. They spool really well over here. You go over there and you got to use nitrous just to get them going. And I don't know, I guess you could say it levels the playing field for everything, for everybody, really.
With the first time you came out, you knew your truck really well, knew how it performed, you knew your setup, and you go over to Colorado. How long did it take you to adjust or get the performance of the truck where you felt, I might be able to win this thing, I might be able to really compete in it? Was it like, something the night before where you're like, I'm just going to try this, see how it does, and it worked? Or did you make changes each day on the setup?
No. I mean, I had a bunch of strategy. I watched every DPC YouTube video before then, because, LeVon won it the 2 years before I did. And, I studied each video of each event and just, paid attention to everything in detail on those videos and went in with a strategy and stuck with my game plan, and it worked out.
It was really cool seeing. I didn't get to see your truck when you were out here, but in the magazine and videos and things like that, being able to see how well it performed those 2 years was, like this theme we've had on the Diesel podcast has been the 6-liter isn't dead, and it took a hit for, I think, a while, probably while the truck was out. Like, you need head studs, head gasket, EGR cooler, oil cooler, water pump, all these different things, right? But then guys like yourself have taken it to this level where there's a lot of listeners out there that we have that are excited. Like they can get a 6-liter, they know what they need to do to it, and it's not like it's capped at a power level, in a sense.
Yeah.
So you can have fun with it, or you can use it for work. Either thing.
Yeah, they can be reliable when they're taken care of. Maintenance is kept up on them, and you use the right combination of parts. They're pretty good trucks, and they're a hell of a platform if you want to try to make some power with them. I mean, they're good up to a certain point, I feel like.
I just thought of a question we actually got yesterday. It came in on YouTube. And it wasn't specific to 6 liters, but you'd be a great guest for us to ask. He wanted to know what power range is almost too much to daily drive. I know it varies a little bit, whether it's like common rail injection or HUE injection or different things, but in your opinion, what would you say on a 6 liter is about the most you'd want for something, take a road trip with the family, haul a trailer, drive it every single day, put, thousands of miles a year on it? What would that power range be in your opinion?
I mean, to me, personally, I'd say no more than, 550 to 650 horsepower. And, I mean, that's a lot. A lot of people don't realize, I get questions all the time, I want 800 horsepower. But do you realize what comes along with that 800 horsepower?
Yeah, and the price tag.
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's a price tag, and then there's a lot of work involved. Also, if you're doing the work yourself, or if you're paying somebody to do the work, the price tag's going to double.
That's true.
A tuned 6 liter, a stock studded, deleted tuned 6 liter is a fun street truck to drive. If you put a small set of injectors in it, a drop-in turbo, a lift pump, and a regulated return, you can make 550, 600 horsepower and have a fun truck to drive anywhere, anytime, and tow pretty much anything you want to tow with it on a single turbo setup. I mean, you can do compounds on them, but there's just not a lot of room for activities under the hood of a 6 liter.
I think that's something that's really key, and once we get past like a tuner and some bolt-on upgrades, is sometimes we get bored with the power. And I'm like, well, I kind of want that excitement I had when I first did a tune on it or something like that. And it can be a real slippery slope between 550, 600, and 8 to 900 or more. And it's like the usable power. How much can you really use on the street? How much do you really want to use towing a trailer? How much carnage is there going to be, whether it's with the transmission or other things or whatever it might be, that all factor into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't recommend any more than that. I mean, you're probably looking at another, from the 550 range and up, in my opinion, you're probably looking at another $7,000 to $10,000 to be able to use all that power reliably when you want it anyway.
Yeah, and you got me thinking, because you had mentioned people ask you, a lot what kind of setups, and I know you have part sales and things that you do with these trucks, and I wanted to ask you about that, and also for our listeners out there, they want 550 to 600 horsepower on their 6 liter. What exactly would you recommend for them to buy for their truck to have that be a reliable setup for them?
A complete fuel system, a lift pump, a regulated return, a small set of injectors, 175s, 190s with a smaller nozzle, and a drop-in VGT charger, a stage 1 or stage 2 or possibly a stage 3 will get you, somewhere in that range as far as power goes. And it'd be pretty reliable unless you drive it like all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get people all the time ask me about injectors, and it bugs me. I don't know if you noticed, my truck runs really clean going down the track. People want these smaller injectors or even bigger injectors and put these great big old nozzles on them, and it's just I don't know. I'm a fan of clean power. I don't like a hot, smoky truck, even driving down the road or at the racetrack.
Yeah, I think we see it a lot in not just like the 6 liter or the Powerstroke platform, but even Duramax and Cummins is these really fast trucks. They're pretty clean going down the track. They're burning that fuel that they have and making tons of power and going faster than they've ever gone.
It's pretty amazing what what the diesel performance stuff has come to in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, trucks running out of their cage certifications for their weight. They're running faster legally than they can. It's pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really anticipated outrunning the safety certifications so quick, and it's like the performance and the innovation doesn't stop, but it's almost like in a holding pattern till that catches up to it, and then okay, now it's unleashed again, and let the trucks go out there and see what they can do. And it's just like somebody hit a warp speed button and things went really crazy the last 3 or 4, 5 years with times, with power levels, with everything, like engines and turbo technology and injectors and injection pumps, and just everything's did this huge leap forward really fast.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy for somebody to go out and make 16, 1800, 2000 horsepower on the dyno, and then make a pass down the track and back those numbers up with track times is super impressive to me.
It's crazy to think what it's going to be like in a year or two.
Yeah. I'll still have the same old junk 6-liter doing the same thing, hopefully. We are going to try to, we got a couple things we're going to do over the winter. We're going to try to we ran the 590 index class at Rudy's a few weeks ago, and we need a little bit more than what we got right now, so we're going to try to do a little bit more with that so we can be a little more competitive in that class come next year, and hopefully shake it up a little bit. That's the only, I don't know, I know we were the only Ford in the class that day, and I'm pretty sure it's the only the only Ford that's probably run in that particular class.
Well, I saw on Instagram, which we'll put a link to your Instagram on the episode when we put it out there on iTunes and YouTube and everything, but I saw a picture you posted, and I think the truck was just launching. It was like right as it took off, and your caption said, like, hurting Cummins boys' feelings, and we laughed about it, but it's not something I think most people, when they show up to the track, if they don't know you or know your truck, I think they would be caught off guard. I think they would be, like, I'm racing a 6-liter, and you go out there and run the times that you do. I think it's a testament to the things you've done with it, and the setup and the time behind the steering wheel, and getting to know that truck, that it's no joke. It's a performer.
Yeah, it's pretty stout for a Ford, and like if a Cummins, like one of the Cummins guys that are faster, or have been a lot faster than me in one of their trucks, if I outrun them, like, it brings on so much butt hurt and saltiness. It's I just love it. I don't even care if I win the event. If I get one of them all butt hurt because they got beat by a 4-door 6-liter, then my weekend is made.
But really, I think where diesel performance really started with a lot of us is, what was cool about it is doing that same thing but with other vehicles. Like, you have your 6-liter, you put a tune on it, you go out there and you can beat a car or some other truck or some half-ton Hemi or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, you just got beat by a diesel truck, 4-wheel drive, crew cab, front bed. And then it kind of translates over now to the diesel side, where it's like, it happens with all the makes and different engines and everything else, but we still have that same competitive side, and it's fun to surprise people.
That's right.
Tell us a bit about what you do with parts and diesel performance and things like that.
We got a little small business selling all kinds of parts, mainly 6-liter stuff, because that's what I know best. And if somebody wants to make 500 horsepower, or if they want a solid tow truck, or if they want to make 800 horsepower, we can provide them with. We can tell them what they need, and we can provide them with everything they need to do it if they want to go that route.
What's the best way for our listeners to find you, like on social media, or get in contact with you, ask questions about their setups, or what to do, and kind of pick your brain a little bit?
Most of my traffic comes from Instagram, and then we have a Facebook page, and you could also email us at ketersdiesel@gmail.com. Any of those three, and I will definitely get back with you. Usually within the same day, most of the time.
People definitely got to follow you on Instagram because your stories are hilarious.
Yeah, everybody, we like stirring the pot, and everybody likes talking, running their mouth. It's all in fun.
It's the highlight of my day a lot of days. I'm like, what Charlie post on his story on Instagram? Let me go check it out.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
What for next year? What are some plans you have for taking the truck out? Are there any events you've really keyed in on where you're going to be there? You're going to be competing.
I'm definitely going to try to make some of the a few of the Outlaw Diesel Super Series races next year. I work at a chemical plant, so my vacation time is limited to an extent. I don't have tons of vacation. I don't own a shop, so I can't just say we're shutting down shop for 4 or 5 days and we're going over here to race.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I did have it like that sometimes, but it's just dependent upon, my vacation. And, I got kids and a wife, and, I like spending time at home too. But we're definitely going to try to make some of those races next year and shake things up in that 590 index if we can.
Well, we look forward to seeing you out there and following the truck. It's one we followed for a while. It's really cool to get our schedules lined up and be able to chat with you about it and learn more about the truck that like on Instagram, like I said, we see you racing, or from Diesel Power Challenge a couple years ago, and just learn a little bit more about the truck and yourself, and then be able to connect you with our listeners where these guys got 6 liters and it's stock and they want to do something with it, or they want to take it to the next level. They can reach out to you, and you have direct experience with it, so you're not guessing on what to do. You know exactly what to do.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I've owned several different 6 liters myself. A couple of my close friends around here have owned some. We've tested multiple different setups on these trucks, and it all comes with a price, but I've learned a lot doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's invaluable. It saves people money too, because then they don't have to go through and trial and error it and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on it.
Yeah, what a waste I have done. But it's been fun for the most part. I enjoy it. It keeps me busy along with everything else that I got going on.
Well, we definitely appreciate what you do for diesel performance in general, what you're doing with the 6 liter, and it was really cool chatting with you today. And let's have you back on next year after you take the track out, get some feedback from you and with the changes you made in the 590 class, and maybe some new things you've learned, or maybe you changed the setup a little bit, and can report back to us.
All right, we can do that.
Awesome. Thanks again, Charlie.
All right, bud. Appreciate it.
Don't forget, diesel fans, make sure and head on over to dieselworldmag.com to stay up to date with the latest in the diesel industry, community, and race scene. We've got a team of guys who are out there covering events, talking about new products released, just pretty much anything going on in diesel. Those guys stay on top of it. And I also want to thank them for giving us a shout out in the current issue with the Diesel Podcast and our logo and truck, and where you can find us on iTunes and iHeartRadio and everything else. So huge thanks to those guys. Also PPEI tuning, so you L5P guys, there's custom tuning available on a pre-order basis. Make sure and go to ppei.com, get that going if you're interested. Or if you have a Cummins 6.7 Powerstroke, LB7, LBZ, anything like that, those guys have EFI Live, there's Easy Link options, tons of different things. So make sure you check them out if you're looking to get a little bit more out of your truck, or kind of bring your hard part modifications, all together. If you got injector, CB3 turbo, those guys are professionals at what they do. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.